Electronic drafting. Are all of you, a lot of you in Alan's class? Okay. Okay, as far as electronic drafting, we're going to run this one a little bit different because Alan asked if we could do a segment of Eagle in here along with pads. I've always taught this just with pads. Pads is what I use professionally throughout circuit boards for every company. And so that's what we're going to start out with is pads. Okay, pads is just another software package, and it's a very powerful package. It's to me, it's one of the easiest ones to learn, and the best lower priced CAD packages out there. Now, if you have an extra $100,000 laying around, you can go and jump up and get a nice one. But if you only want to spend $5,000 to $6,000, CADs will do all these other ones will almost do. And you don't need all the extra bells and whistles that the other ones do. PADS will do it. The PADS does have an add-on packages that you can do all the bells and whistles if you want to. But to get going and routing circuit boards, $5,000 will get you making money, which is pretty inexpensive if you think about starting your own business. Okay?
Mike, have you ever bumped into EDDT?
I've heard about it, but there's not many companies that I know using it, and so I'm after the ones that companies are using out there, the ones that can really make some money that are well-established companies out there. And that's why I like pads, and I think you'll see why, because we're going to actually start you on pads tonight, and we're going to start routing your very first board tonight. Okay. And so as we go through the boards, the one thing I want you to realize is this. We are probably going to route about 8 different boards in this class, okay? 8 to 9 different boards. Now, I do not expect your boards to be perfect. Are you with me there? And if you think about this, 8 or 9 boards. Of these 8 or 9 boards, there's probably about $100,000 that I've made off of these boards. If you were to route the boards for a company that we're going to route, that would be $100,000. Now, we're talking one semester and like 2 hours, 4 hours a week, 4 to 5 hours a week, you know. It's not even thinkable that you could finish a board exact. Do you understand what I'm saying? A lot of the boards that I'm giving you, there are principles and concepts and ideas that I want you to understand. And as far as doing all the little tweaky cleanup stuff, I don't really fully care if you do that. If you were being paid, yeah, it'd be well worth it, wouldn't it, to do all that. But if you understand the concepts as far as placing, reading from a schematic to get on it, routing the BGA, and that's all really easy to do. That's what I'm doing on these boards for. Now, a lot of you will get them routed. You might not get them routed the greatest in the world. Does that make sense? And that's fine with me. And if you do a board and all you're doing is trying to get frustrated because you can't get a few routes in, I don't care. You understand what I'm trying to get at? I don't expect you to finish 100% of the boards because it's unthinkable. Because when I do a board complete, it'll take me, a lot of the boards that we do, well, might take me 2 full days, okay? When I say 2 full days, they aren't 8-hour days. They're like 22, 23-hour days, you know. And so we're talking about 48 hours. Well, that equates to about how many weeks? If you 4 hours a week, that's 10 weeks. So we'd do a board and a half professionally. Does that make sense? From start to finish and getting everything mitered, cleaned up, spread out, everything. And so if all we did was work on 2 little circuit boards in here, you wouldn't get an awful lot of experience with you. So that's why I want to give you a bunch of boards. So don't feel stressed out if you don't get a board completely finished. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? If you get the points that I'm after for you to learn on that board, that's all I care about. Okay? And so we're a small enough class that we'll work together on a lot of our projects. A lot of our boards, we'll route them together. or at least get going on a lot of things so you can route it later. Now, the one thing about boards is this. It's very conceivable that you can get, if you were to start your own little business and start routing circuit boards, you know, I make about $80 an hour when I do circuit boards. So I sit down in my office with my big screen TV on, with the fridge right next to my office, take my feet up, push buttons, and make $80 an hour. So it's not too bad, okay? And I could do work for a company next door as well as a company overseas with the internet. It makes no difference what companies you work for. You know, I mean, you can have real-time, you know, video chats with them and everything else. And so it makes no difference who you do it for. So you can actually advertise to do boards worldwide. And that's what I do. I do a lot of work for people overseas, an awful lot. So a lot of times, you know, I'm trying to slow down just a little bit. I'd like to, you know, I've got about 3 different businesses going on. I like to, you know, have a little free time once in a while. But an average day to me is about 16 to 18 hours, 6 days a week. That's usually what I work. So it's an awful lot. I'm glad for Sundays because I don't work on Sundays, and I enjoy taking it off. But that's an average day. Okay, so it pays very well when I do have time off and do circuit boards. I mean, I've sat at a computer for 52 straight hours getting the project finished. But you make $80 an hour for 52 straight hours. It's not a bad paycheck, is it? And so a lot of people can't do that. The longer I sit and work at a project, the more alert I become. Well, that's my problem. You know, there's a transition point, you know, where you get tired. And once you pass that, it doesn't matter. You can stay up for hours beyond that. That's how I am. I don't know if you like that. That's how I am. That's why I enjoy it. And so, but if you have a big screen TV right next to you, you know, you could go for a lot of hours. And a fridge right there. So anyway, that's how I do it. So, but in here, you can come in extra if you want to. The only problem is when you start a board, you have to be on the same computer. Because if you open a board, your libraries stick with your computer. I've tried to switch it around and make it possible so you can actually save it on your thumb drive and save your libraries on your thumb drive and go to another computer, but it still won't accept it. And so when you start a board, you want to make sure you're sitting where you're sitting. Now, having said that, we don't worry about that until we start using libraries. If it's just raw boards, you can just go anywhere you want because they're on all the machines. But when you start doing things where you're creating your own library parts and stuff like that, you need to be on the machine. And so that's the only drawback. But again, you know, if you want to come in the morning, how many of you work during the day? How many of you go to work after this? Okay. So
bunch of slackers.
So, I mean, I get here at 7 o'clock in the morning, and if you want to come in early, and if we just have to be routing the board that day, you can come in and route it anytime you want. With that at all. So that's how we'll kind of run the class. As far as grading, I'm a very easy grader because if you're doing the best that you can, I can't ask for much more, can I? And so I grade individually. I don't grade you against each other in here. Because some of you, it might be this might be so common nature, easy for you to route, and others it might be a real struggle for you to route. And I'm not going to penalize you if you just can't grasp it. But if you're here, if you're trying, that's all I care about. Okay? Now, the nice thing is having a smaller class, usually we have about double or triple this number. And so it'll give us more one-on-one time to get through the drawings too. And you will find once you get going, I think all you have to do is if you can draw a line from this point to this point, you can route a board. That's all it is. It's hooking up your nets. You got to just make it so they don't cross. And if they do, you just jump over them with a bid jump to another layer, come back to B, and keep on going. That's all you have to do. So it makes it pretty simple. Okay? Okay, so we go from what, 4:30 to what time? 6:50 and 7. Okay, good enough. Good enough. That makes it so on Monday nights I get to leave at 6:50. That's unreal. I usually get home about 11 o'clock on Monday and Wednesday night. And I leave at 5 in the morning. Okay, so that's just the school here, not my other businesses that I go home and do work at home. So like I say, I enjoy it. I've done it for about 35 years like that. So that's why I tell you, you know, if you work more, it keeps you younger. Because I don't think I'm that old. So I think you'd be surprised. I'm only 64 years old. Some people don't think I would do that. But anyway, that's an old man. So you know, that's why I don't care not sleeping much, you know. So let's go ahead and see. I didn't even turn AutoCAD since our had since they free areas to shoot. I hope it works. If not, we might have a really short time free tonight. So let's go ahead and see if we can get it started up here. Okay, let me get AutoCAD set down here. Or this isn't better. Yeah. Okay. So save now. And I'm just going to shut down AutoCAD 2. Just a second here. Okay. Let's see here. They got Eagle up here. Okay, looks like they have it. So let's go down to search and just type in PADS. So just type in, go down to search and type in pads. We do have the new version here. We want pads layout. Okay. And this will start at pads for us. I'm turn the lights down just a little bit so you can see a little bit better. Okay. Okay. Did everyone see pads layout? Okay, so we should have pads layout. Okay, so with pads layout now, there's a couple of very basic things. It's such an easy package to manipulate around because you aren't using an awful lot of commands in it, and that's what makes it really simple too. So what we're going to do is, see right here we have the drafting toolbar, we have a design toolbar, we have a dimensioning toolbar, and we have a ECO toolbar. Those are the 4 toolbars that we're basically going to be using right there. About everything we do in this class, you're going to be able to do it with those 4 simple basic toolbars. Okay? And so you only have 4 of them to really get in and worry about. So let's open up a file to begin with so we can just start playing with it. And that's what we'll do tonight is we'll just kind of play around with it and get you going on it so you know how to route, jump from layer to layer, and go from there. Is that fair enough? And by the way, as on the syllabus, I'll have my cell number where I've never sat down in my office downstairs, so that's where my phone is on my syllabus. So I just give you my cell phone if ever you need me on my cell phone because you won't find me down in my office. I'll be in this classroom, basically. So if you come here trying to think you'll find me downstairs, chances are I won't be down there, most likely. I'll most likely be right here, okay? So if you need me. And my cell number, if you want to write it down, if you ever need to get a hold of me, is 435. You can just write it on a piece of paper. And once we get going, I'll try to print you out a syllabus tonight too. 435. And you can call me 1531. And you can feel free to call me anytime you need me, okay? Okay, so what we're going to do is go to File right here and Open. Okay, so you're going to get this File Open box right here. Now what we're going to do is hit this PC. Let's go down to CAD Common. Let's try this one here, see if it's in here. So go to CAD Common and go to EDDT right here. And let's go to me, lowercase. My name is Michael Stankus, lowercase right here. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, so scroll down to where it says PCB file right here. First board. Okay, see where it just says first board? Let's try that one right there. Okay, we don't want that one. File, open. Come on here. First board. Don't want that one. Yeah. Somehow they got overrode in here, but we'll make it if we don't. I'll hurry and save one if we need to. First board route, first board somewhere. I want that one. File, open. By the way, some of you CXC, where's the CXC board? CXCBEX right there. By the way, this is one of the boards you'll be routing on, by the way. How's that look? The reason you'll be routing on this, and students get this routed actually during about a 2-week period. The reason I like it is because of this part right here. It's called the VGA right there.
Yep.
Now, you believe it that you guys can route that whole VGA in that area in about an hour's worth of time. I'll show you how to do that. Okay? And so it's really not a bad board once you do that. The hardest part of the board is to place the board correctly. That's the hardest part. Once you place the board correctly, the routing is very simple in reality. Okay? Now, the other thing that we might do is we can make our own circuit boards here too. I have a machine back here that we can only do 2-layer boards here right now. I'm trying to make it so we can get a press so we can do multi-layer boards. But we can go back in that room back there, and I have a mill and everything. We have the solder paste machine and everything else that we can actually create a industrial-looking circuit board, not a little chintzy circuit board like you think. I mean, it has the green solder mask on it, the silk screen, everything on it. We can actually do that here. And so we might actually try to create a board, and so each one of you can actually stuff some parts on it and go from there at the end of the class. We might try to do that too. Okay? Okay, let me get back and see if I can find the file. If not, I'll just hurry and create one, okay, for us. Let's see here. Why is first board? I should have that unrouted. So let's, there's one. Okay, first board 1. Open up first board one.
First board, one.
One.
Dash.
Just,
Locked by
first board
Microsoft
one dash. That's okay, open it up.
Read only.
That's okay, open it up. Okay? Now, the only requirement I ask you to do is to bring to class is a thumb drive. Okay? Now, you should have a little hard drive space to save on the computer also. It should have your name on it some way. When you go to File, Save As, you should be able to go to, like where we went to CAD Common there. There should be a name with your initials or your username, so you should be able to save there. But I recommend that you bring a thumb drive. And I really recommend you about 2 thumb drives. So when you lose your thumb drive, you'll have a backup thumb drive. Okay? So don't think that I can't lose thumb drives, because you can lose a thumb drive very easily. Okay? Okay. So let me show you kind of what we're talking about here. So what we're doing in here, schematics, and we'll try to draw our own schematics for one of our projects here. Create our own schematics, draw it up, do the parts that's reading in around it, and go from there. But anyway, so you have the schematic. We've imported the schematic in with the different parts. Now we have to place those parts on this board, and all those green lines are routes that connections that we have to route up on this board. They're just nets from the schematic. That's what you read in from the schematic. And on Monday, I'll try to bring in a bunch of schematics. And if you can do a 1-page schematic, you can do a 150-page schematic. It's used 149 more 1 pages than that. Okay, just a lot more. So even though it has a lot of pages, don't sweat it. You know, it's the same thing as a 1-page schematic. Just a lot more of it. Does that make sense? And it pays a lot more money too. And so, so that one board that you saw that looked with VGA on it is about a $10,000 board. So if you could route that board, you can get about $10,000. And I've got that board down to where I can route it about $3. So it's not too bad of a salary, is it? And so anyway, that's what I'm saying. So let's go ahead and talk some things about the move commands here. Okay, so you have your scroll button. It scrolls it up and down on your mouse, okay? Just that scroll button right there on your mouse. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, if you hold that down, or, now, let's do it a different way. If you hit home, the home key, it will be a zoom all. So on your keyboard, you know how you have your home, page up, insert, delete, you know, on that little quad package down there on your keyboard. If you hit home, home is the same as zoom all in AutoCAD. So it fills the whole board with what your board outline is. Okay, that's home. Okay, now if you hit page up, that is the same as zooming. Page down will go the other way. You can zoom in, you can zoom out. Now there's other ways of doing it. I'm just showing you one way of doing it right now. So page up, page down. Does that make sense? So what?
Page up, page down.
Page up.
On the keyboard.
Page down on the keyboard. So we're page up right here, page down right here. Okay? Now also, see where it says 0 on your, with insert? If you put your cursor, say on this little bottom hole right here, and hit 0, where did it put that? In the middle. So if you want this in the middle, just put your cursor there and hit 0, and that will go to the center. So you can kind of pan around if you want to do that. Just another way of panning. Now there are a lot of other ways, and I'll show you those other ways later, but for right now, you can move around, pan around, and go from there. Okay? Okay. So, but I like to hit home because I like to see the screen as big as I can so I can get to see everything. Does that make sense? So does that kind of help you to manipulate around? Okay, now, if you look at this part right here, you see how this connector along here has the center hole with another hole out here? This one does not have the two different shapes on it. What do you think the difference between these two parts is?
The connector is through hole and the other one is SMD.
Is a surface mount part.
Surface mount.
So the darker shade is actually a physical hole through the board. It's going to take a through-hole part. And a through-hole part okay, so see, that's like the two-hole part right there. Okay? See, here's another two-hole part right here. Okay? But now, there's your surface mount part right there. So see, surface mount parts are usually a lot smaller and they don't go through the board. So this is something like we're against these parts right here. These would be surface mount parts. But that part right there is that might be similar to something like, no, it isn't. Let's see, here's another surface. That's actually a two-hole part there. It's a two-hole part for a surface mount part to stick onto it. Okay? Does that make sense to you? See, here's one for a two-hole part too. Okay? So two-hole parts have to have whole parts going through the holes going through the board. Okay? And so the nice thing about a through-hole part is you can hook onto that net and route it on any layer you want. But if it's a surface mount part, you can only start routing on the top or where the part's mounted. You can't start from an inner layer. It's the surface mount part. That makes sense? So,
What about, Mike, what about copper lined holes
what
versus
now?
copper lined holes? You know how on the inside of the hole,
Yeah, you have a pad and then you have a
it's
hole.
lined with copper
Yeah,
so that the connection certainly goes through from
right.
the top
Yeah,
to the bottom.
yeah. We'll talk a little bit about that. Yeah. So that's what we've got here, and so we've got up here now. We can route it any layer we want. Does that make sense? Off the connector. Now, with students, they make this a lot harder than it really is. And as we route this, we're going to route this one together tonight. And we should be able to get through this whole board tonight, pretty simple. If we don't, we'll finish it up on Monday. How's that? So that's the nice thing about it. You know, we go as fast as you guys want to go. And so, and as we do it, I'm hoping that you will have it in the same orientation that I have it, so I'll show you how I'm thinking when I'm routing the board. Okay? So let's go through a couple of the movements on here right now. So we've read our net list in, we've placed these two parts here now. Now, if I come down here, see this little line right here? I can grab that and start moving it around. Can everyone just grab on that and start moving it like this? Now, if you hit right click, see how it says rotate 90? You can rotate 90, or what's the shortcut? Control R. So you can actually click here and hit Control R, and you can rotate it around with the rotate command. Does that make sense? So what your job is to do when you place this, you want to place it so that it makes it as easy as possible for you to route the board, which makes sense, right? You want to save you a little time. So I would say put this one in this orientation here, this one Does that look easier to route, or does that look easier to route? That one looks easier to route there, right? We have a lot of traces, but they go straight across, right? Can you see what I'm talking about here? Okay, now, what I would recommend we do is, let's take this one here. Now see down here, there's some coordinates right here. Let's put this one at, I'll go right there. 575 and 1125. Do you see those coordinates? Everyone see those okay? So put it at 575, 1125. That's where we want to stick that one, okay? On this one here now, we want to have it at 1125, but let's put 1900, 1125. Are you with me there?
No.
See these numbers right here? See how I move that around? We want it at 1900, 1125. You see where I'm getting those? Yep. So this one here, so if I grab this one here, so 1900 or 1900, 1125, right there. That makes sense? Now this one here now needs to be, what was this one here? Over 1125. What was our first one? 625?
It was 575, 1125.
575, 1125. That makes sense? So now we all have them in the same location. Okay? That makes sense? As we start routing then, you'll see that we all have the same space to work with. Okay? Now, every board you have power, and you should have power, but you most likely have a ground too. You might have multiple grounds, you might have multiple powers. Okay, the most powers I've ever had on a board are 30 for different, and on the same board, I think I had 20 different grounds. They had these different grounds separated for different ground parts. And even though you have 20 or 30 different powers, if you can do 1 or 2 powers, you can do 30 or 40 powers. Does that make sense? It just all depends on how you lay a board out. Okay, so what we're going to do, first of all, then, is we're going to route this board, but we are not going to route our power or grounds first. We're going to physically turn them off, okay? Because I want to get the physical board routed, and then we can put our power and grounds in where they go. If you start adding all these other things, you might get really frustrated on not being able to route the board. I have never had a board in my life that I have not been able to do my grounds after I've routed it. Never. And I think I'm up to over 5,000 boards that I've routed, so it's pretty good, record to be able to always get your power and grounds in. Okay. So let's turn our power and grounds off first of all. Okay. Okay. Now to look for our power and grounds, the way you do it is to let's go to View, Nets, right there. So View and Nets, okay? So the 3 nets that we have that we're going to turn off are ground, VCC, and VPP. We don't want to route those right now, but we're going to give them a different color so we know where they are. So if you want to, you can subconsciously maybe leave a little area for a via there, but we aren't going to add them in right yet, okay? Because if I can put more exit vias for power and grounds, I'm going to put more vias to drop it down to my main plane. And so with circuit boards now, you might have like a 4-layer board. You might have a trace layer on top. You might have a ground plane, a power plane, and another trace layer. That becomes a 4-layer board. And everything, all your powers are going to get sucked down to your power level. All your ground's going to be sucked down to that ground plane. So that copper, that whole area of copper becomes one plane. And you can separate that plane now if you have multiple powers by just drawing a 2D ditch because it's a photo reverse. If you see a line there, there's not going to be any copper there. But if you don't see something, there's going to be copper there. It's a photo reverse. So that whole plane is filled with copper, and you can segment that piece of copper and power up and energize each one of those little different planes with a different power supply and create a power source on that plane. Same way with the ground plane, that's how you do it, okay? And so that's what we have. We have 2 power planes, the VCC and VPP. There's 2 different powers. And then we have our main ground. And so what we're going to do is we're going to make this into a 4-layer board. So we want to be able to route on the top. We want a power, ground, and another route plane. Now, as we do this, you're going to find out that a lot of students have made this and had problems and want me to switch this to like a 6-layer board to give them 4 routing layers. You don't need 4 routing layers. When I first did this board, it has 2 layers. And so I got it all routed, all my power and grounds on 2 different layers, top and bottom. Okay? But I'm letting you do it in 4, okay? Because a 2-layer board is actually pretty tough to do. Now, we will do a couple of 2-layer boards, so, okay? Cheap to build, but expensive to lay out. Okay? Okay, so we can see ground, VCC, VPP. So you just hit cancel. Okay, now if you'll go to setup right here and display colors right here. Okay? Okay, so you can see that this right now is actually a 6-layer board. You have our top, inner, bottom. This is a 6-layer board. But what we're going to do is we're going to ignore layers like 3 and 4. So we're going to use layer 1, 2, 5, and 6. Does that make sense to everybody? Now, if we could use layer 1, 2, 3, and 6 and forget about 4 and 5 if we wanted to. But I'm just saying let's use 1 and 2. Let's don't use 3 and 4 and use 5 and 6. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So that's all we're going to do. Now, so just hit pulls out of this or hit OK. Okay. Now, okay, so let's go back and hit View Nets. Okay, hit ground right there. So right now, ground is highlighted here. These become highlighted with different colors. Okay, then you have this. If you don't pick anything there, see nothing's highlighted. If you pick one of these here, see how your colors are highlighted here? So let's say ground, we want green, which is this top color right here. So click that number right there for green, and then hit none right here. So all your grounds are going to be green. I'm not going to have any connections. I'm turning off my connections to my ground because I'm going to route those up after I get it all routed, right? And I don't want to accidentally route a ground net as I'm routing, right? I want to get rid of all possible ways of routing ground. So let's hit, well, let me leave them on and show you why. So if I hit OK, see there's a ground. See these grounds are hooked to this right here. This one's hooked to this right here. They're hooked to this one and to this one. Does that make sense? But now, if I go back to View Nets now, hit ground, I'm still at green, and if I hit none right here, hit OK. Now see, all my ground nets are taken away. So it's going to remove some of the nets that go all over the board and just let me see where my ground pins are by a color. Okay, does that make sense? Now, if I want to find out what a specific net is, I can add that net over there and give it a color, and I can find it and route with it. Okay? So we need to do the same thing with VCC and VPP. So go to View, Nets, hit VCC. I'm going to hit None, and I'm going to give that a color of cyan right here. Okay, does that make sense? So here's VCC, VCC, VCC. Does that make sense? See how I can find those now with my colors? Now let's turn VPP off. So View Nets, let's go to VPP, hit None, and I'm going to pick this ugly color here. Okay, right there. So that's VPP. That makes sense? But look, there's no connections going to it, right? But I still could, if I grabbed on it, I could start routing with it. Does that make sense? Hey, Tyson, how you doing?
Do you mind if I just show one?
Go right ahead. Go right ahead. Okay. Do you see how we can turn nets on and off? The more of our power nets that we can turn off and we can concentrate on our main bulk, you know, it's going to make it easier for us to figure things out. Okay? Okay, so right now, all these green lines I have to route. Okay? Now, with this being a through-hole part, this is a surface mount part, I could start on any layer I wanted to, right? To jump into here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to page up, try to zoom in to the top area of this right here. Okay? Now, can you see these lines coming, these bottom lines coming across here? This one this one here goes to this pin here. This one goes to this pin here. Do you see that? Now, these on the top kind of go around here to the side here, don't they? So what your job is now is to come up with some kind of a strategy that might make this easy for you to route. Okay, does that make sense? So yes.
So just a quick question. So I've got, I'm not sure how this happened, but blue line went over there. I don't recall ever doing anything with it.
Okay, what happened on that one is this here. Over here now, it's the connection. So we're going to how's that? How was that? It was just like around there. Below some of that.
Okay, that makes sense? Okay. So, what we're going to do now is this. If we go into Tools, and do I want to do that yet? No, I don't want to do that yet. Do we want to hit Design, Default, Routing, Trim Split? Yeah, we'll do that. Okay. Okay. Now, right now, if I routed into here, let's just hurry and route one route and play with it. See this route right here? Comes into that end pad right there. You see that one? Just double click on this line right here and come over there. Okay. Okay, now, question for you. It wouldn't route.
Snap.
Okay.
Turned on.
Let me explain why it won't route. What layer are we routing on? Layer 3. I could start on layer 3 here, right? But I tried to end on this layer, which has to be what layer? Layer 1, right? Remember, it's a surface mount. So if you'll come over here now and change this to the top side right there. So you see top right there. Now try to route it. Okay? It's routed there, but you can't hardly see it, can you? That make sense? Okay. So what we're going to do is, plus it looks really thin, doesn't it? I want to pick a color now that I can see. So let's go to Setup, Display Colors. So for the top side, you see my traces are blue, right? What I want to do is I can pick any of these colors now here, and I'm going to pick this magenta right here, change that right there. Now it's red. Okay, let's pick that one. Pick the first one. It's just reversed in AutoCAD, magenta and red, and hit OK. Now, can you see that a little bit better? Okay. Now, question. If you click on that trace right there, and if you look down here, you see it's an 8 mil trace. See where it says W8 right there? Okay, that means it's 8 mils. The width of that trace right now is about 3, 6, 2.5 sheets of paper. That's how wide that trace is. Pretty small, isn't it? We can't see it, so we want to make it bigger so we can see it. Did you get the route trace route first? Okay, good. That's the main part. Now we're going to change some settings so we can actually see our trace. Okay, so there is what's called a modeless command. Now, we will be going over this an awful lot, so don't think that I'm just going to expect you to understand it, remember it this first night, okay? I won't do that to you. Okay, it's called the real width sign. I want you to type in R5 and hit enter. It made it wider, didn't it? Now remember, how wide is that trace? 8 thousandths. Okay, 8 thousandths wide, okay? So this is 8 thousandths right now. Now watch what happens. If I type in R9, it goes back to a small line, right? Now if I hit R4, it goes back to a fatter line, right? So I'm going to explain what the R command is doing to me. R stands for real width, right? If I went with R9, it changed it to a small line, right? If I went to R4, it changed me to a fat line, right? So if my R width is set larger than what my trace width is going to be a thin line. If my R is set smaller than my trace width, it's going to show it true size and shape. Does that make sense? So that's what the R command is. It stands for real width. Okay? But now, we want to make this a little bit wider because, again, you're routing this board. Look at this pad here. You've got plenty of room to have a larger trace in here, right? There's no reason why you should have a small trace coming into a larger pad, right? A lot of this times you might want to look at it like a hose. What happens if you have a small hose coming into a huge hose? What's going to happen to your flow when that hits? Is your flow going to get better or just go just drop off, right? Exactly. Churn's going to be the same way. It's going to get into that big pad. So why go into big pad with a little wimpy trace? Okay, so we want to increase this pad width, this trace width. To do that now, and we'll probably do this about 20 times seriously. if you'll go to Setup, Design Rules, right here, and go to Default, and go to Clearance. Okay, this right here, you have your minimum, recommended, and maximum. Okay, whatever your recommended width is what the trace width is going to be when you start routing the board. Does that make sense? So if I want this to be 15, what I have to do is my recommended, I want to change that to 15. I can leave my minimum of 8, but my recommended is 15. Maximum, I usually go 250. So I can have my recommended now anywhere in between there, because I might have a trace, I might want to have a power trace in there. And I might not want, I might just want to route like a 2/10 trace between a couple of pads. Does that make sense? So I can do that because I can have a trace up to 1/4 of an inch right here now, can I? But I'm only working about 15 thousandths. So if I hit OK and close now here and close here now, now let's say I start routing on this one here. See how much fatter my trace is for my first one there? I changed it to 15, right? Okay. But now, having said that now, we need to change this one to here to 15, don't we? There's a couple of ways that we can do that. We can either delete it and start over again, or else, if you click here, right click, I want to select my whole net, which is what shortcut? F6. So if I come over here, click here, hit F6, selects my whole net, doesn't it? And then all I have to do now is to go to right click and go to properties right here. To, what do I have, 15? 15. Let's make it 12. And we'll go back and change the other to 12 also. Does that make sense? Now, how do I change all these other routes to 12 now? Setup, Design Rules, Default, Clearance, and Recommended. I want to change that to 12. So now everything I do now, as I route now, is going to be a 12. That makes sense? See how we can start routing here? So what I want you to do on these right here, these top 2, 4, 6, these top 9 pins, I want you to route that bottom row straight down to it. Okay, so I'm going to hurry and do it, then I'll come around and help you do it, okay? So I've gotten 2, this one here, and then this one here. Then this one looks like he comes down there too. I'm just going to bring him down like this here. Okay, do you see how I have those top 9 routed? So go ahead and try to route those top, the bottom, and then the third one over on the top. Perfect. Perfect. Okay? I don't know. So don't worry, don't put angles in yet. So all you're going to be doing, hit escape for me. So what we're going to do is, let's do this one here, and you're on the top. So double click here, come here, come over to there,
Okay, so
there,
you clicked.
click there.
You clicked for the turn time.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So here, maybe come here, come over one click and come straight down like that.
Okay, and
Okay.
when you come to a pad, you kind of aim for the center because
Yeah, it'll give you a circle. So
Because-
route one.
because what happened to me on one of these is I
I'll go all the way down.
I went
Yeah.
I went down and then
Now,
it continued on.
Put your cursor right there.
Yeah, but it I had line.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep. Yeah. Okay, now we got one more to get in here for that one here. So this one here now, what we're going to do here now is this. We're going to move this one over there. We're going to pull this one down here. And now you got room, and then what I can do here is I can have it wider now. Grab this one here, and I can put it over there. That makes sense? Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so now what you want to do here now is use that one to switch speed. So you move over there now, right? And you pull this down to here. Pull this down to here. And then this one here. There. And you can speed it a little bit. And you get this one here now. Okay. And you can continue there. And you put a spare right, which you can add a wider here. And grab that one. Makes sense? I'm okay? It was great. So you put there, come forward, put there, go straight down, and you got the top that you can right over. Okay? Now on this one here, what I'm going to do is delete that here, and go from here. And then you just grab it here. Okay. Does that make sense? Yeah, violation there. Violation. We're talking about. No. No, if there is, we can mention. Here. Okay. Which one's that, the 2650? Yeah. We can actually meet downstairs, but, no, that's just right. Yeah. See, everyone have those routed up? Okay, now, the neat thing about this now is this. Let's play with this just a little bit. If you want to now, I'm going to turn these green lines off because they might get in your way. Do you understand? I mean, if you had a tougher board. So I want everyone to go to Setup, Display Colors. See where it says Connection right here? Click on that and hit, well, let's change it back to, that's okay. Hit black right here, click that right there and hit OK. My connections are gone, right? Now, are they really gone? What color are they? Black. What's my background color? Black. They're just hid in my background color, aren't they? But it's easier just to see what I'm working with, right? Does that make sense?
Sorry, which one was that?
Okay, I went to Setup, Display Colors, and I hit the black, that top one right there, and then click Connections right there. Okay? So now what I can do is I can tweak these and kind of clean these amount of routes right up like I want them to. Does that make sense?
I'm not seeing connection.
Oh, okay.
There you go, now hit OK. You bet. Okay, now, what we can do here now is, if any of these cross over each other, it's going to give us a direct short, isn't it? So we want to clean things up a little bit. And so we can come in here now, and you can grab these little sections, and you can move these up here. Now, I'm going to do this just to show you something. See how I'm lining these all up? I'm going to show you why I'm doing that here in just a minute here. Now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add me a miter right here. So click on that vertex and add a miter. And so I'm just going to, let me just play with this a little bit here. So I'm trying to keep a straight line across here. You see how I can modify and tweak my commands? But I just click on the vertex, so zoom in there now, just click there now. So if I wanted to, you see how I add to my miter first? So zoom in there, hit escape right there. Okay, zoom in just a little bit, detail. Okay, good. Yeah, click on that vertex, right click, add miter. Now grab. Click there. Now you can grab this segment and move him up and down now. Click there and just move him up and down. See how you can kind of manipulate that around? So you want to try to keep everything on 45s. And so see, you've got these top ones. You don't want these top ones yet. So what you'll want to do is hit escape. Now click on this one here, on the trace here. Now hit F6 and hit right click, and you can unroute it. Click on that one there, right click, or F6, F6, right click, unroute, and that one there. Okay, that one you want routed. Now you don't have anything crossing over, right? You see, this one didn't come straight in, right? Yeah. So you want to move that one trace over there and just move over a notch. Right there. Now see, they click it. See, everything goes right in now, doesn't it? Okay, does that make sense? You got it good? Now zoom in, don't add another miter. So zoom into that. Yeah, zoom in again. Again. Okay, now pick this vertex here. Right on top of here. You have to click that vertex. If you click the middle, it won't work. It's the vertex. Okay? So now what you want to do is you don't want that, you want that right in the middle, right? So what I can do here now is click here, right click, and split it. And I'm going to swap it. How's that? Okay. Are you okay with just routing those first 8 or 9? Pretty simple, isn't it? Okay.
I'm getting these multiple miters or something, and I
Okay.
can't.
So zoom in here. Just bring him down to there.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, it's
So
visually,
don't be afraid to zoom in.
Oh, okay. It not only visually disappeared, it actually became
Yeah.
one line.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to clean these up here just a little bit here. I'm just going to add me a miter here. Grab this point here. Pull him down to there. Add a miter. Now see, that one doesn't quite join up, right? But I can do it like that, can't I? That looks a lot better, doesn't it? That makes sense? Yes.
Why do you want to keep it at 45?
And not 90?
Not like 38?
Because 45 is a standard. You want to change everything at some random thing? It's set up to be able to do a 45-degree angle, or you can do any angle. You want everything lined up, consistent, looking good, don't you? That's the reason why. Now, I can do any angle if I want to, but then you have a long one here, then another, maybe a 45, nothing's consistent on your board. Okay? Now, if you do a circular one, and I've done a lot of circuit boards, you have to have your trace go around the corner. You can do it in an arc if you want to, but you can go here, here, and do kind of like an octagon around the board if you want to. And so there's a lot of different things you can do. Okay? Okay, so that, and we might come back and edit this. Okay? We don't know because we just started routing it, right? We've only routed like 9 traces, haven't we? Coming off this connector down. Now what we want to do is we want to turn our connections back on. Okay, so go to View or Setup, Display Colors. Now we got to give connections a color down so we can see them again. So we can use green if we want to. That makes sense? Can you see your connections now? Now, see these right here? They all come down over onto this side here, don't they? So now, if I get across here, I've got to be on a different layer, don't I? Then I've got to come back to the top layer to finish my trace, don't I? Are you with me there? So, the way we're going to do that is this. I'm going to start with this one right here, and I want to be on the bottom, so change your layer to the bottom right here. Because remember, this is a through-hole part, so I can start on any layer I want, can't I? So I'm going to start with this trace right here. I'm going to come here, here. I'm going to come over to here, here, and I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to end right there. See how I did that trace? But I set my trace to lay it to the bottom layer. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the rest of these over, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more of these over and end them right here. Okay? So just double click on there. And right click and end. Click these, come down here. Right click. Okay, everyone get those routed over? And now click there and just control click. Okay. There, there, there. Control click. So here. There, here. Control click. Here. control click. Control click.
With the left?
Click, yes, click.
It did.
Okay, hit control. Click.
Okay. It's just that I was on the very same spot.
Yeah. Okay, so now, just start routing that one. And come over to here, this angle, this right in here. You want to go right up to there, yep. Then I come down about right to there. I come over to here. A little bit more, maybe right there. I come down a little bit. Now control, click. And that ends it. Now do the next one, bring him over. Okay? Okay, you get the control click to bring him over? Now, we might move all these, we don't know. We'll have to find out. At least we got it out of our connector, don't we? So what we want to do here now, see, we get kind of close to this side here. So we can actually pull him over there. If we need to pull this one down more because we don't want to have him run into here, right? And then maybe we have them all lined up on this line here, apart. That way we try to uniformly out. See how we, that is kind of. So all you do is you're trying to get, yeah. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it on here. Yeah. So what I'm going to do here now, so this up to where I can go right there. Okay. Now, down more. And so this little segment here will work. It's not like so this is going to be here. And then I can grab him and I can do it here. Okay. So we'll pull him over to there. Click on that. Delete him. And no matter where I start routing this, I can maybe go up to here, here, and then we go on from him over one mark there, and then we go and put him down to there. Then I'm going to come up here now and add a line here, and then put this thing over there.
There's one thing I wanted to check with on the miter. I keep trying to add it. Okay, right click, add lighter. Yep.
Now zoom in. Okay, get it straight now. Zoom in. Zoom in again. 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 Okay, now right click that lighter. Okay. There you go. It's got your lighter, right? Now you gotta move it. Quick. You gotta get that to move over and just a little see it comes down a little jog over, right? Look there. Okay. Now just drag him over. There you go. Now you're lined right up. So you have to zoom in pretty close sometimes to see it because you didn't know that was finished up right at that grid snap. Okay? You get it, okay? Perfect. Perfect. Now, see these right here now? That's another 45. That's not 45 because they are all the same, right? So if you want to just delete that, and you go with the video 45. So you delete. So you want everything to be a 45 if you can, because it's so Snyder, you know, as you bring like a bus around or something like that, it all flows together. Okay? Okay, now let's finish these traces up. Now remember now, these are on the bottom side of the board, these red ones, and the pink ones are on the top side of the board, aren't they? So all these, I have to jump back to the top side of my board, don't I? So, what let's do here now is, it's going to be these, wait, now this, come over here now and see what happens up here. if you come over to this pad right here and double click it, see it jumps back to the top here, right? I'm going to come over to there, click here, and then hit L6. L6 stands for layer 6. So I'm jumping to layer 6 now. So I can tell which layer to jump to. But I'm coming off my surface mount pad, coming over, clicking L6, and then in my trace. So this one here now, I could go from here, come over to here, L6. See how I'm jumping over that? But I do have to do one thing. I have to move mine out too. So this one I want maybe to here. Well, maybe I'll only go that far. I think we'll have enough if we do that. Let's see that one. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. See what I'm doing? Just pick here. Come out here, it's lined up right there. Hit L6, enter, and see, I can cross like that, can I? Because there are different layers. One's on the top, one's on the bottom. That's not going to give me an error right there. And this one here, come over to here, L6, come up to here, click here, L6, here, L6, here, and then here now, L6. That make sense? So what we just did is we routed that much of the board right there, coming around there. You good with that so far? Kind of see the strategy we've been using there?
So take it over, like an L6.
L6, if you click there, it'll change it to a new layer. L stands for layer. And then it's whatever layer you top, it's going to be the last layer. So click there now, L6. Okay, L6. Now go up. You click right there. You got it. Now do the next one. Double click it. Now come out, click it there. L6. And go up. You got it. Okay, does that make sense? And you can do it that way too if you want to. Well, you entered it out here and just entered it and you added another trace into it. Any way is fine. Any way is fine as long as you get to it. Okay? And we're going to modify it now just a little bit more. Now, you're just going to do it, okay? So what we want is we want to make kind of room. And so what we can do here is let's move this trace out to there. So we want that much space between them, right there. Okay. Now we've got kind of a mess here, right? But now we know we have enough room here. We still have one more down there. So let's say you move this back to here, and I didn't get maybe that much space between. Okay. See, now we've got a little more space. Everything's uniform, right? But now what we've looked at now is, look, these are different. See, this one's different. We put that one's different too. So you delete that one, and so we'll start routing here now. That was right.
And now what I could do here now, you know, that was uniform across there. That was uniform across there now, right?
Here, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now up here now, see, you did just fine there. Now we gotta bring this one around the bottom now, so we just bring this one here now. And what we want to do is put him right there, right? So you can come all the way down here, because remember, he's the top side, this is on the bottom side. Bring him come there. Layer one now, right? So we want to jump to the top layer. So now, here now, you can route from here. And then you can hit in. And you can add it together. There, right there. That makes sense? Thank you. Okay.
Does that make a little sense to you? See how you can bring traces around? You just have to figure kind of a, some kind of a scheme to get it routed up. That's all you're after. Okay? Now, those bees might look pretty big, aren't they? I mean, you think about it, you got a trace coming in, and if you look at the hole here,
in real life, those dots are pretty small.
they're pretty small, but look, that's your trace. You don't need that big of a hole for that trace to come in and drop down, do you?
Yeah,
So we could make that via just a little bit smaller, and that would give us more real estate to route on, right?
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we're going to change our via size. Now this is 12 right here, right? We might want to make this this shaded part in here maybe 20, and this outside maybe 35. Does that make sense? So this is the hole, this is a pad right here, right? Tolerance. Because if you have 10,000 of these on a board, are you going to have a dead center on every one of those you drill? There has to be a tolerance, right? So that pad, that lighter yellow, is kind of your tolerance zone for you to drill in, but your drill has to hit that. So the larger tolerance zone, the more safe you are to make sure that drill is going to be somewhere in that pad and not outside of that pad and come too close to a trace. Does that make sense? So let's change that.
That drill in real life is just like a...
You can take that drill and you can just flip it with your finger, and they'll drill thousands of holes with that drill bit.
It's like a pinhole, yeah.
Yeah, I'll bring some in, but you go just like that. They're thin, but you'd be surprised. They'll get 1,000 hits out of every one of those little drill bits. Now the length of them are only about yay long on some of them, but they'll still drill thousands of holes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to setup. You want to say setup right there? Pad stacks. Pad stacks is configuring the hole in the pad as you go through the board. Okay, now we're going to hit these every day. So even though I'm introducing a whole bunch of stuff, we'll go over this day after day after day after day after day until you get it down. So don't think I'm just going to expect you to memorize it after the night. I won't. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so go to Setup, Pad Stacks. Okay, now, see where it says Decal and Via? This is a Via. This is called a Via. That's what jumps through the hole to a different layer. Does that make sense? So hit Via right there. Now, I have a micro via and a standard via. I don't know which one it is. Let me hit, you don't have to do this, but if I click on that, it's a standard via. Does that make sense? See standard via right here? So I'm going to go back to Setup, Pad Stacks, Via. This is the one I want to change, not that one. Now we said our drill size could be 20, couldn't we? 20. And then our pad diameter, let's make it 35. So make that 20 and 35. Okay? Now, do you see where it says start, enter, and end? We want our enter now to be 35 also. And our end be 35 also. Okay, now I'm going to delete that layer there, and delete that layer there, and let's delete that layer. We don't need that one, and we don't need that one there. All you need is start, inner, and end, those 3 layers. And make them 35 and make the drill 20. Okay? So now click on this one here, 2. Let's just get rid of it. Click on it, hit delete. Yes. Delete. Yes. Delete. Yes. Delete. Yes. Now, take that 35 right there. I go to the inner one here and make that 35 also. And then hit OK. Now you've made them all 35. They're a smaller video. Does that make sense? Get it? Yeah, 35, 35. So hit OK. See what happens over here. Now you stick in the whole extra lot of space, right? Now you can make them a lot smaller and you can move those closer together if you need to. But if you zoom in and look at that, so zoom in here now. So you can see with this trace coming into here, you have a barrel going down that's larger than that diameter, right? That's what's going to carry the current to another layer, right? You don't need a big, crazy hole to take a little wimpy trace down to another layer, right? So why not make you more space for you to route with? Okay? But see, the yellow now is a tolerance zone, so that drill now can vary. And so you say you have, we did 20 and 35, right? Say about 7,500, right? Now, if your board shop that you have built a board can't keep a tolerance within like 5,000, then you might need to make that pad a larger pad to give him more of a tolerance zone. Does that make sense to everybody? So that's what that is. That's the inner hole, and the pad is your tolerance, your envelope. Okay? Okay, let's see. Now what I could do, actually, now see I've got a lot of space there, right? I could come in here now and say, okay, I want to move this back, move this in like this here. See how uniform that looks now? So I'm constantly moving things around. That is why I usually don't miter things a lot of times so I get my vias positioned right. Then I add my miters, usually. Because a lot of times if you move something, your miters get switched off of that 45 to a different angle, right? So a lot of times I'll just leave it square until I get positioned, and then I add my miters in and go from there. So that's part of that cleanup that, they pay you hundreds of dollars to do. That just takes time to clean that up. Okay, so now let's go ahead. See all these bottom ones right here now? All these? Let's bring all these over to here now. All these bottom traces here. Okay? So what I'm going to do now is I've got to be on the top layer, don't I? But all I have to do to get, because I'm on the bottom layer here, right? All I have to do to get to the top layer is start routing it, right? See how it changed to the top? I'm going to come from here, and I'm just going to end him there. So I'm going to pick each one of these and just route him and bring him over and end. Does that make sense? That makes sense? Now that left me one in here. That's okay. I can remedy that. How many of you have one left here? Any of you?
Not keeping
Okay.
up with you, Mike.
We'll come back to that one. You might have one or two that's a little different than mine. But that's okay. But now see, this one and this one come up to these pins here. This one goes to that pin right there, right? What I could do though is, look, I could route this up here via and come clear up into here, couldn't I? If I wanted to get that one.
Mike,
You
what
see
about that pad that has two connections?
This one over here?
No. On the IC, the one we've been the one you just worked on. There's a green line that comes into from the top, right
This one
there.
here?
Yeah, so that pad has two connectors.
Right. Right, he has to be tied to this pin, and to this pin here. It's just not from here to here. It has three connections on it. And it's doing a length minimization. Okay, so I could route it up to here, either from here or from this pin here. And you'll see that as we work on this. Let's bring these over here now. Look, that one doesn't even go here. It goes up to here, doesn't it? So let's bring him over here. I'm just going to jog him and come up here and into him there. He only goes from that one pin, from this pin here, up to this pin here, doesn't he? See, when you start routing him, that's all he goes. So let's go ahead now and bring this one here over. He goes over to here, right? This one here now. See how I'm just bringing these over here? So you kind of straighten that up now, right? So what layer am I on? I'm on the top layer, right? So how can I get now from here up to here? Let's go through a couple of vias to get back up there, don't I? Does that make sense? So if you come over here now, again, try to zoom in here. So now this one here is an easy one, right? I don't need the via to get this first one in right here, do I? So I'm going to have to add a via. So let's say I move this one here over to there. This one I'm just picking the ends and moving them over. That make sense? Now, do most of you have it like this?
Getting there.
Okay. I don't want to get too far ahead of you, so tell me to slow down. Don't let me get too fast ahead of you. And just click there. Yeah, we can get that one there. Then just bring those others, just drag them over and click there. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Very good. Very good. Get those moved over there. Pretty good. You just hit escape. So just drag that. Yeah, there you go. And click it. And grab the next one. Click on the end. You want to be on the end. Just pull them over right there. And this one goes clear up here, so come get him out of your way. Then you just click there, come here, click there, and come up just a little bit. Now that's good. That's good. Leave it there for now. That's good. Okay? That makes sense? Now, what we've got to do is we've got to come out of this pad here. We've got to via and via back up here to end up on this trace here, don't we? So what we could do here now is start routing here. And, okay, now, if you come down here now and right-click, you see where it says End Via Mode? See where it says End Via Mode? I have an option now of end with no via or end with a via. I want to end with a via, so now I'm going to go here and click there.
But you're not specifying which layer the VA is going to.
The via doesn't matter yet. I'm just putting a via in. Remember, via is a through-hole part, isn't it? It goes all the way through the board.
Well, it's copper lined.
Right, but it goes through the board, right?
Right.
So now, if I put a via here, I could route this little section on the bottom side of my board, couldn't I? What I'm going to have to do, most of you have enough room, but I'm going to move these vias up to here. See, I don't have enough room to put a via in here without it shorting out, do I? That make sense? Then I can move this up to maybe here, and maybe I want that much space right there. You kind of see why I'm leaving a little space, and I wanted us all to get the parts placed in the same location, because I knew if you had this too close to the bottom, you wouldn't be able to do this. So I kind of know what to look forward on this board, kind of, as you get a little experience to start routing. Okay? So now what I can do here now is I can click here now and right-click, and I can add a via here. I can add a via on each one of these here. That make sense?
Sorry, I missed how you added the first vias. You know,
Right here, and okay. So what I did here, let me delete this one here. So I started routing from here out. I came from here, I right-clicked. You see where it says End Via Mode? I made sure I clicked End with Via. And then just click right here, Control click. You see that now?
Yeah, I do.
So if you want to end a trace, you don't have to have a via on the end of it. So zoom in a little bit, I would. Don't be afraid to zoom in. So Control click. Now do the next one. Double click. Control click. Control click. On that one now, zoom out just a little bit now. See, this one you don't need a via on here. So click on that via and hit delete, and yes. Yeah, just start routing right there, double click him, come right down here, and there. Okay, now what you've got to do here now is you don't have to have room for the via here without shorting out, do you? So what you do is you move these space up to there, and then you will leave that much space there. And then we have enough space to put the videos here. And this is really up here. And this one down here is really over here. Anyway. Then, now, Now you crossed over all those. Now, so we want to, so we don't have enough room because this is going to get close here, right? So let's move these up closer to here now. And then we can move this up to here. Now we can change this to our bottom layer. And you can just start routing from here to here now. And see how we crossed over there? That makes sense? Yeah. So again, every board is slightly different. Now you need a via on the end of each one of these. So click on that end right there. So zoom in there.
I switch to the bottom layer.
Right click, add via. There, do that on each one of these. And then now you can route that little segment on the bottom side of the board right there, right? Okay, let me get caught up to you guys now. The what now? Let me grab this in here. Come on, why don't we add a via? There you go. Okay, because you have to add vias to the Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to add a via right here. Now you can route from here to here on the bottom side. I'm just trying to get the via across. Okay, so double click here, control click. Control click. Now, click on this point right here, that end point. Right click, add via. Click on this one here. Now, hit the point. There you go. And now, change that to bottom now. Yeah, just double click on that green line right there. You come down here now and click on this via here. Now click on this one here. See what you're doing there? So you can kind of see a pattern now, you know, and see we've moved these a couple of times, right? And right here now, if you need more space here, you can move this up one notch and get that all up one notch, get one more trace around there if you need it to. Okay? Okay. So now the neat thing about this is we have a lot going up right here, don't we? But a lot of those are hooked to these connections right here, aren't they? So what I'm going to do here now is we have a trace. Well, let me hurry and hook these up. Here, I got to get this.
So the pads just automatically figures out which layer each via goes to?
These pads do here.
Right, those are on the top.
Right.
But they have to go through to the bottom. And we did not specify, like we did the L6.
Right, because
L6 specified where the via was going.
But all we did here now is we came out and ended this and put a via right here, right? And we put a via here. So I could start in this via on any layer I wanted.
Wait, so...
Because the via goes through, it's a hole that goes through the board, right? It's just like it's through a whole part.
I guess on the multi-layer board, you can control which layer the via ends. The vias
now you can do blind, but they're expensive.
The vias are always all the way through.
Now, don't say always so. Costly.
Yeah.
But you can pay for them.
Yeah. Okay. Now I get it.
Now, let's on this one, because I'm seeing a lot, see this trace here? He's hooked to this connection right here, isn't he? Look, I've already got a via here. I'm going to bring these around this side of the board now and come up. Okay, so let's see, I'm going to be on this, I want to be on the top side of the board, so I'm going to change this back to top, and as I route here now, I can just start coming around here, bring him up here. See, I'm using my vias.
Wow, and the application just automatically understands
Yes.
that you are manipulating a connection.
Uh-huh.
Huh.
Let's hit F2 on that one there, I guess. Now you notice that I just routed it over. I really didn't care how close I was, right? I just wanted to get all my traces going up there. Now I can go back and I can move them and space them out uniformly. So I could maybe have this one here. Maybe I'll see if I have that much space there. Does that make sense? If I don't have enough space, we'll see. You see how I lined these up? They're all evenly spaced going up here, right? I got a little problem in here, don't I? But that's
Mike, why did you? No, actually, I'm not seeing all the connections.
Well, I'm just bringing these around here.
On all the pads. Yeah, but I've got like 2 pads that don't have a green line going to.
But they were over here. You brought them over here when you started routing it because it did a length minimization for you. That's what's going on there.
I didn't see that.
Now, I want you to watch what I'm going to do here now. Again, don't be afraid to zoom in. That's the big thing. So now, I'm just going to pull all these down to make squares right here to begin with, okay? Then I can click on that point and I can add a miter. And then I can move him over here now. There. Add a miter and grab that vertex and pull him over there.
See, mine's somehow gotten extra connection somewhere.
Okay, let me add these last 3, and I'm going to tab to find that one. You're right there. Let me just get these other 2 here. See how nice and uniform that looks going around there?
Somehow did
Okay, so. Okay. Okay, this connects, hit F6. Okay, so this is a net. So we can come over here. And then we can add a quarter down here now. We'll come back to here. I can add a quarter now, we'll move down to there. Yeah, so I mean, that's as exactly, I'm just showing you how to, kind of what it can do now. See, they aren't uniform, are they? So I like this spacing here, so maybe pull this one here over a notch here. Let's go there. Now pull that one. There. There. That was okay. That was okay. But this one here has to go in. See, now you're all uniform right there. Now we gotta go down, pull all these down so they're lined up. Lined up right here at the bottom. Just bring it right down. Up all the way down. Like that. All the way down. With that one liner, we can move it out. Yeah. You know, click on that vertex right there now. And add a liner. Now, pull this point here in. You know, yeah, just right in. Right to there. There. A liner. No, don't grab there. You gotta grab on that vertex. And drag in. Just hold down and drag in. One more over. Right there. You just keep on going. Drag them over. One more over. Get done unifying. They, you know, how they're uniform, you're trying to make your space get this good. So, add a miter. So, yeah, there and drag it. Hold down, yeah, yeah.
It'll be harder to
Right, do that.
margin out there.
You know, get the tab key. Okay, click there again. Click there, now hit tab. There you go. Now right click, add miter. If you tab, it'll go through anything stacked in that stack right there. Find that, drag that point over. Perfect. If you can find something that's buried now, okay, if you kind of get in the general area, click there. Click there. Okay. Okay, now tab. There you go. Right click, add miter. Now you gotta find that. So, and see, you know you gotta pick out right there. Now there you go. Space find more. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Grab that. Right click, add miter. Grab, so quick, yeah, grab there, and just drag it right over. Right there. Now, take it out. Okay, you got to make uniform. Now we got to bring this one here around. So now zoom in there. Now click on that vertex right here. You have to do the start right. You have to do it. Come over here. Right there. And come up to here. Right. Down one. Right there. Go straight up. All right. Just right there in the middle. Got it. Okay, we brought those around now. Okay, so we've done that complete bottom almost, haven't we? So we've done more than half of it, haven't we? That makes sense? Look how uniform that is, and there's rhyming reason. It's just not haphazardly things going together, is it? Okay? You get it there? And so you can move, see, this one must come in closer here, so grab that vertex right there and just drag it close. Here. Okay. This isn't a 45 here. See, on 45. On 45, now you can grab that and move it over. So when you route these here, you want these on your 45 here. So, and see, it'll force you to actually do it. And then you can grab here, come over here. See how you can make that clean up like that? Get it?
Awesome, very good. Yeah, good. You see how easy it is to start bringing traces around? So we'll go for another 15, 20 minutes if you guys want to, okay? Okay. Now, what we've got here now is we could do this top part right here. Should we do these traces right here? The hard ones here? Okay. So what I'm going to do here is, see, they go to these pins right here. To see how they come over to these pins? So I'm just going to start here with the second pin over. Just start here and come here and come over here and end him there. Now, do you want a via on it, or should we get rid of that via?
No, we need a via.
Okay.
Because we've got those traces on the top.
Okay, we can move that via anywhere we want inside of there, can't we? So let's delete it. Delete it right now. I want to show you something else. So click on it and hit delete. Now, if I start routing here now, come up here now, how do I turn my vias off? Right click, in via mode, end with no via.
Right.
Now you come over here and you won't have a via.
Right.
That makes sense? So I'm bringing these here over here. Right here. Okay, now, looks like this end one comes over too, doesn't he? This one right here. The rest of these go up here, right? Or from here over to here, right? I don't have any more that go over to these pins right here, do I? Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So now, once I get these in, I only have 4 more connections, 5 more connections, and this whole part is all routed up. Are you with me there? So, what I'm going to do now is I've got to come across here. Let's see, I kind of like that. I want a little more space up here like this if I can. But look what I can do here now. I'm going to start routing here. I'm going to come up here now and come over to here and end him here. Now, the only reason that I'm doing this is, see, I've got all this mess here, and I want to give me as much space up here as I can to get those routed into my connection going up. Does that make sense? So I want to leave me as much space as I can there. You see how I'm just routing these over here? Now the nice thing about this is, look what I can do. I can pull him down to about to here now, and I can get my spacing here now, can't I? See that? And I haven't taken away any of this space right here, have I? Now all these have to tie into here, right? So how am I going to do that? I've got to have a via here and a via here where they end, don't I? To get underneath there and then come back up, right? And so what we can do here now is, let's start with this one here, the bottom one here. So if I add a via here, well, let's say we can do it easier. I'm going to bring this one over here, and I'm going to end him right here. Let's bring him straight over to where the paths they go, and I'll show you something here. Okay? And you're really going to like this part. I'm going to move this one over to here and give me my spacing that I want on these here, just like this here, okay? I'm going to show you a little shortcut right there. Let's get over there. Okay, now, I've got a whole bunch of shorts, don't I?
A whole lattice of them.
Yes, but I'm going to get rid of them in just a second. I can click on this trace right there. Well, I don't need to on this one, do I? But I need to on that one. I can click on that one, right click and go to properties, and I can put him on the bottom layer. And guess what? That's my 2B is in for me. And I cross over.
That's why you pay thousands of dollars.
Does that make sense?
For this thing too.
So like you say, if this doesn't make sense, don't worry. You'll get a lot of practice with this. I mean, so what?
I think when you get a freaking line just laying out. You just know the control click. Because you ended it up. Now, let me show you something here. So as you bring these up, let me do this one. Okay, so we can click here. I'm going to click here, come over to here, here, and I'm going to come right over to there and click on that trace. And it finishes it up. So do the next one for me. So double click it. There, come up, there, come all the way over to see how it's highlighted. It's that one right there. Click there. Now do the next one. Double click there you go. One more, there you go. Come right over to see there, there. Yeah, this one's going with space now. So again, we're going to zoom in now. I'm just going to move this up a little bit more to give you some more space. Okay, so you get the line. Yeah, yeah. Okay, now. That one doesn't go, he goes up here. So that's all we need. Now let's bring these back down. Let's come over here now, too. So drag him down. Bring it right there. Now bring it right there. Now bring all the others down. You get one extra click in there. So it's 2003. You guys want to come over here for just a minute? Let me show you something here. So there you go. You got it? Yeah. Okay, so click there now. I want to show you how to really. There you go. Now, see right now, these are too close right here, aren't they? So what I can do now is I can bring this over here now, and I can click here, right click, and I can hit split.
Okay, sure.
Here, right click, split. So even though I didn't know how far I wanted here, he came straight across. See, I made my little jog first, right? He came straight across. I'm just showing you now you can hit split and then split. I'm getting my spacing all in one shot here now, aren't I? And what I can do here now is, I want to move this one up one notch so it might be here and have this straight across.
I'm constantly going back and tweaking. That makes sense? And then all I have to do is click on, now this one's okay, right? This one, you just click there, right click, properties, change it from the top to the bottom. That's what your 2B is in. Now, having said that, now I've got to spread these apart, right? But I have a ton of space here that I can move it toward this side, keep this side clear for all these coming up in the top here. Does that make sense? That's how I'm working that out. But as I split this, look what else I can do. If I split, and let's say I wanted this to come up instead. Right click, swap. It comes up.
Amazing what thousands of dollars buy you.
So does that kind of make sense? So now once we have that, a couple of these come up around here now. Then, like I say, we'll have 5 left here. These here now can come up on the bottom and come all the way through here to get up here now, can't they? Because these are all on the top side right now.
I have a question. So, I mean, these are S&Ps. Who says we can't have a via underneath?
You can.
And a trace.
You can have traces underneath that's on the bottom, on the other layer. It's not on the top layer. Yeah, and we're going to put caps. We're going to put parts on the bottom side here later. These caps are off the board.
Yeah.
They're going underneath here with vias in them underneath here.
The CPUs.
Right. Yeah. We're going to do that. Right. Right.
Resistor.
Does that kind of make sense? Now let's start doing it. So now I just switch up, change all these, and then we'll just move them. So click there, right click, properties, change from the top to the bottom.
Right.
It'll say.
Put some of these.
Yep, it'll put the vias in for you.
I can get rid of my vias. I didn't switch the
Okay.
end with no via mode, and now I can't.
How about deleting? Hit yes.
What did you do? Delete?
I just click delete. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, all the complicated things have simple answers,
It's okay,
huh?
Michael. I had a new class I need to go to.
Yeah, 7.
Yeah.
So do I. I have to go to the same class.
Oh, you need a good place to stop right now?
Oh.
Which class do you take? Just lifetime wellness.
Oh, yeah, you bet. You bet. Yeah. Now, if you want to, if you want to come in here 10, 15 minutes early, you can leave.
Yeah, I gotta do it. It's a certain class.
Yeah, no, feel free.
Can I just save this on my thumb drive?
Yes. I mean, you have thumb drives tonight.
I've got one.
If you don't have a thumb drive, sometimes we're having problems with the hard drive. Can you save his on yours? Is that okay? And then on Monday, we'll just pick up where we are.
I'm curious, does my network drive work?
It should. It should. They're labeled different, so I don't know tonight. I haven't actually really tested it yet.
Oh, I bought it semester, last semester, yeah.
So I recommend you rely on your own thumb drive instead of the other. Just a word of caution. It's great to have, but I wouldn't rely on it.
Tonight I'll just email it to myself.
But that's fine too. That's fine too. If you want to email it if you don't have a thumb drive.
Before you leave, can we grab the movie prep?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We probably have to put it in the cleaner.
Yeah, how does the cleaner work? Bring it out of the box.
Are you supposed to be on, the home thing?
Yeah. Well, you will, then you'll need to jump over to the others.
Yeah, so right now, everything is perfect. Right now,
All these.
so right now, everything over here,
Well, that's.
if you're a purple line here,
That's my
so
same,
I
that's
can't
my
cross
same
another
story.
purple line. So I need to go under that purple line on that layer. And then come back up and grab, so I'll have to be it here, and then be it here at each point that you're crossing over. So all your red lines are on, think about like a sheet of paper or whatever. So all these are on that third sheet of paper. These are on the first sheet of paper, so I can drop down to the third sheet, come over and come back up. Okay? But I can't cross lines on the same paper, on the same layer. So anytime you cross a metal circuit with a metal circuit, it's gonna short out, right? So I'm gonna drop that metal circuit down underneath it. So that's the purpose of what you're doing, is that VIA allows you to connect in at any layer, so all these will be VIA. And right, so that top one is good.
Property. Change it from the bottom to the top. Now you're clean up the one underneath. Right, so now come over and click. Yeah, there, but, please, it's, yeah. When you click this line here, right click property. Okay. And then change it to the bottom. Not in third sheet, just, right, just click on the line.
So now it automatically put your vias in there, because you just change that line spec.
Right click properties. There you go. That's a little easier getting L6,
No.
L1, L6, L1, L6, L1, right? Okay, now, one thing you have to do now is, these are all good right there, these are close right there, aren't they?
Does anybody need a thumb drive?
Now,
Does anybody need a thumb drive to save?
I was gonna do it.
Okay.
Thank you.
I,
See you on Monday.
take care. Have fun.
Now, so, yeah, what you could do if you wanted to, is that if I were to move this over here now, and a reminder here, see, now it's yeah, so there's a lot of different strategies you can use to make that space if you want to. I'm trying to pick that vertex in that big file. That makes sense. Yeah, if you wanted to, you could do this. You could split this from over here now.
Hey, buddy.
How are you? Look, now you can add the reminder here now. So at this point, drag him right up there. Okay. So you're not trying to find it in that pile somewhere. Again, there's so many different ways of doing the same thing.
Sometimes it's just a matter of squeezing everything down to the, you've got so many traces going everywhere. Sometimes you need everyone video board especially when some people.
Yeah, we operate a full microscope class. So we just done that. But if you want to, you can do,
We were getting described that
I asked them for a special help.
using the from
And
the bottom
is, then you get.
goes down, down drive. This one right here. Just drag it up.
You come in and basically, I'll give you the information that you can work on.
Look out of it.
You know,